Welcome everyone, we're doing another prediction today, and this time the matchup is going to be Libertarian and former New Mexico, Governor Gary Johnson, facing off against Green Party nominee and professor, I believe, from Massachusetts, Jill Stein. So this is going to be very interesting because these are both third-party candidates. Johnson is a Libertarian and Stein is part of the Green Party. So there are no Democrat and Republicans, and these were the two, and Johnson and Stein both ran in the 2016 presidential election. Did pretty well but couldn't win. They did just well because Trump and Hillary were both so unpopular. So we're going to be taking a look at who would win in a matchup, between themselves. So, getting started. Stein would carry her home state of Massachusetts along with Vermont and Maine. Stein is very progressive. All Green Party members are very progressive. Johnson isn't going to be extra conservative, but he is going to be seen as more of the conservative type candidate. He would win his home state in New Mexico, I believe. He's going to do very well in this region, like in Arizona, like in Utah, like in Texas, because these are rural regions and he really will connect with these voters. However, Colorado, I do think would go to Jill Stein. Many cities here, and they are a very progressive state, Colorado. Like with legalizing marijuana and all that. I know both candidates would support that, but Stein would definitely promote it more. I think Stein would carry the state of Hawaii. Of course, that's a liberal state, but Alaska is very conservative. I think they would have to go to Gary Johnson. All right, moving on to Nevada. I gotta give this to Gary Johnson because, this goes with the region. This is a libertarian region. This is a conservative region. Sure, it went to Biden in 2020, but less Biden voters are going to turn out for Jill Stein. Johnson is going to seem as just slightly the more logical candidate. However, I think California would go to Jill Stein. Of course, this is a Democratic state, but it would definitely go to the more progressive candidate, I believe. And I also believe that Oregon and Washington would do the same. These are both safe Democratic states, again, very progressive. But these Republican states, Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, North and South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, these would essentially all be Johnson states, maybe not in the Democratic primary, like in the Green Party primary, but in the general election, Johnson versus Stein. This is definitely the more conservative region of the country. I will definitely give these states to Gary Johnson. And I will point out that I probably never mind. Alright, Minnesota. Minnesota, I think, would be a Stein state. Very progressive. I shouldn't say very progressive. It went to Biden by about 7 to 10, something like that, points in 2020. They are a Democratic state. They're a progressive state. I do believe that they would choose Stein over Johnson. Iowa, I think, would go to Johnson just because it's more of a rural state that I think would be, farmers and rural voters, even many suburban voters, I think would turn out heavily for Gary Johnson, and this fits the description. I think Missouri, Republican state. Many Republican states are going to go to Gary Johnson because the Republicans tilt more to the libertarian kind of on the political spectrum than the Green Party or than the Democratic Party. Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky. These would all be Johnson states. Very libertarian region, very Republican region. I think this would definitely be Johnson territory. But I will have to give Florida to Jill Stein because Florida is going to be a state where, cities are going to be part of the country where Stein will be very popular. Jill Stein is going to be very popular among young people, and there are many young people in Florida, right? So I think this would definitely be a state. Well, I shouldn't say definitely. I think this would be a very close state. I just have a habit of saying definitely. But ultimately, I think these cities would turn out heavily for Jill Stein because Johnson will be popular in more of the rural regions. I think this would be a Jill Stein state. So this is 2020. So Georgia could go to Jill Stein, but I don't think African Americans are going to love Jill Stein as they did for Joe Biden. Not many are going to turn out for Jill Stein, I don't think. Women are going to turn out heavily for Jill Stein, but I don't think African Americans. Because of that, I do think that Georgia would tilt in the Johnson column. Same with South Carolina. Same with North Carolina. These are pretty rural regions. Many rural voters here, I think they would vote for Gary Johnson. Virginia, I would put in the Green Party column for Jill Stein, because it is a Democratic state, all that. Indiana, Ohio, and West Virginia are all very rural states that I will give to Gary Johnson, and that almost gives him victory. However, Wisconsin, I'll give to Jill Stein. It's a Democratic state, very liberal and progressive. I would see this as a Stein state. Wisconsin is tricky because Jill Stein focuses a lot on the environment. Of course, she's part of the Green Party. I would think that this would be somewhat of a major issue, maybe not, but I will give this to Johnson, just because this is more of a conservative state that I think would fit into Johnson's, political views a bit more. There are many cities in Michigan, many cities here, pretty populated. I would think that it's a Stein state. I think many people, or in the cities, people would turn out heavily for Jill Stein. Washington, D.C. would be a Stein state. Maryland, Delaware would be Stein states. New Jersey would be a Stein state. New York would be a Jill Stein state. Just because, it's a Democratic state with many, well, not many cities, but, very much overpopulated here, and these cities are going to turn out very heavily for Jill Stein. Plus, the environment is a big issue in a state like New York, where I think that Jill Stein would connect with these voters more. I think that she would also carry the states of Connecticut and Rhode Island, but I will have to give New Hampshire to Gary Johnson. I really don't think she will connect with these voters here. The environment is not a big issue in a state like this. And it is a pretty conservative state among both parties, and I think Gary Johnson will really be more similar to these voters, what issues these voters have, than Jill Stein will. So it all comes down to Pennsylvania. This is a very close election, 255 to 263 as of right now. Pennsylvania, I think, would definitely be a toss-up. It could go either way, really. But I will put it in the Gary Johnson column. Because of this. And many states are going to vote, for Gary Johnson because of this. Gary Johnson is more established than Jill Stein. He is the former governor of New Mexico. People are going to think that he really knows what he's talking about more than Jill Stein is. I think by just a narrow margin, Pennsylvania would go to Gary Johnson because of this reason. So, Gary Johnson wins the presidency with 275 electoral votes to Jill Stein's 263. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you all next time. Next video is actually going to be Joe Jorgensen versus Howie Hawkins in 2024.